The early years of the 20th century were a wonder for the machines, and O.F. Flory was quick to realize that machines could save time and labor and increase profit. O.F. Flory came to Salida with his mother's family in 1909. They settled on a parcel of land on Toombs Road, where with the help of the community, they built a barn and a fine two-story farmhouse. Both buildings still stand and are still in use today. Today, 4 generations of Flory children and grandchildren can still be found on the property at Toombs Road, operating the thriving manufacturing business known as Flory Industries.
So that was really interesting to think back in those days that the young pioneers were engineers as well as pioneers. For me, I thought school was probably the most exciting thing a person could get involved in. And later on, when I got into high school, I got involved in agricultural mechanics.
O.F. Flory purchased a neighbor's harvesting business, a brand new Ford truck, and a lima bean thresher from C.B. Hay Company.
And we had a bean harvest that was made in San Jose, but it was not adequate. So I got to thinking about it, and after about 3 years, I got ready to make a machine.
And I've been told that Howard is so smart, and I believe it. They had a little shop with a concrete floor, and he sat down with a slide rule and drew the plans for those harvesters. And they were the best bean harvester ever made.
And the machine came together and worked so well that we went out one night to see if it really would work. And Dad came out the next morning and said, we're going to have a sand painter come out here and paint this, put Flory Special on the side of this machine. So they did.
The Flory Special was 37 feet long, weighed 14 tons, and took 6 men to operate. Its first harvest in 1944 was 25,000 sacks of beans. By 1952, Howard's son, Marlon, was working in the family business.
This meant, getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, hitting the road, working under lights, getting all the equipment serviced by the time the crew got there. Yeah. We was in the custom grain and bean harvesting. So we would travel. We'd go as far as Bakersfield with the bean harvesters.
My introduction to the Flory family began in the late 1950s and early 1960s when they were in the grain harvesting business. I witnessed 3 generations of Florys operating together on our family farm, harvesting wheat and barley.
Well, as tree crops become more prominent, and we could see that there's being less and less grain harvesting, and our interest really lied in the manufacturing and machinery and equipment. And then we had a local grower come by and say, we need to do something about picking up these almonds. We started developing something that looked like maybe I had a chance to work. So it would have been in the late 50s. We had really a working model that these things kind of evolved. Like it worked for this fellow that we was working with, and his neighbor seen it, and he says, well, I want one of those. And so the next year, we'd make 2 of them. And then it went that way really through the 60s. The late 60s then, we developed a self-propelled unit, which is much larger, more complicated, faster, more efficient. And that just really set us off for the big growth period and conversion of the 70s, where we converted from the grain harvesting to full-time manufacturing. And then also in the late 70s, we got into some international marketing.
The company now sells equipment to Canada, Mexico, Chile, Argentina, Spain, France, and Australia. With the endorsement of nuts as a healthy food by the health industry, international nut production is rapidly expanding around the world, and the Flory family will be there to meet the needs of the grower.
As our company grew, we was fortunate to have room to bring in the next generation that wanted to be here. So they really kind of started the same way that I did, my brother did, that it's sweeping floors, washing equipment, whatever needed to be done.
The Flory Industries manufacturing process has matched the growth of the industry step by step. Today, their manufacturing processes using state-of-the-art computer-controlled production equipment with lean, small batch manufacturing techniques reduces inventory cost in both materials and final product, making the company a leader in the manufacture of specialized agricultural equipment.
Well, I guess it'd be the late 70s. We invested in our first high-tech punching equipment, which would be a CNC, computerized control machine. So that was kind of the launch point for us. And so we launched into a numerous year project of getting rid of old equipment, moving into high-tech.
Input from the customer in terms of machine function is the #1 design parameter for Flory Industries. Designs are done on the computer, fabricated in the test shop, and tested in the field at harvest season. It's all about customer focus.
We listen to them and get ideas from them. Our point is we want to have a good machine that's serviceable, not only just does a good job in harvesting, but when it is time to repair it, that it's something that can be worked on.
The contract division is related to all the work that we do for other companies, not related to our agriculture equipment.
Basically what happens is customers will approach us with different projects, and they will be associated with a project coordinator who will be their point of contact throughout the project. And that coordinator will provide them with a quote, and then if the quote turns into an order, they will see that order through to its completion, all the various details associated with it.
We have 9 of us working here in parts, which includes receiving and shipping and serving customers at the front counter as well. We feel it's real important to maintain a good inventory for our customers during the harvest season because when they're out in the field and broke down, lost time for them is expensive. So we feel it's very important to keep parts on hand that they'll need.
My responsibilities are to make sure that our customers are completely satisfied with the machine that they've just purchased. Customers have spent a lot of money on the machinery, and our focus is longevity with our customers. We want customers to come back and buy their machine from us again the next time they decide to make a purchase.
This sweeper that I'm currently standing in front of is our first sweeper that we made. It was built in 1971. It was about 50 miles away from here. The gentleman was still using it sweeping walnuts when we went and picked it up.
That's why we see the thousands and thousands of acres grown in California today. I think that with their equipment, they promoted people to plant almonds. If they had to go back like we used to 50 years ago and harvest, there wouldn't be enough almonds to supply California's appetite. So we have to credit the Flory family with a huge net harvest that we have in California. California raises 86% of the almonds grown in the world. And I think that you can look at the Flory family and blame that on them.
From there, it's really, promoting new products, finding that need and filling it that got us started way back in the 60s. That same philosophy still works and is still important.
O.F. Flory instilled in his children and grandchildren the value of honesty, integrity, and hard work. His favorite old-timer saying goes, "Find a need and fill it. Never let it rest until the good is better and the better best."